All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to unpack a really fascinating mindset technique called the Silva Mind Method, which claims it can unlock your brain's hidden power. And you know, our story actually starts with a bit of an unsolved mystery from a true legend in personal development.
So check this out. That quote is from Napoleon Hill, the author of the classic Think and Grow Rich. Now, Hill spent decades studying the most successful people in the world, and he was totally convinced there was some secret way to push the mind way beyond its normal limits. But here's the real kicker. Hill himself admitted he never actually named the secret in his book. He sort of danced around it, talking about masterminds and things like that, but the actual core mechanism, it was a puzzle. So what on earth was this secret he was talking about? For years, people were searching for this key to success, and honestly, most of them were looking in all the wrong places. This search for the forgotten secret is really where our investigation picks up. Well, the answer finally came from a scientific researcher named José Silva. After a whopping 22 years of study, he came to a radical conclusion. The secret wasn't some external strategy, it wasn't about hustle and grind, it was something internal, found right inside the rhythm of our own brainwaves. Silva pinpointed this one specific mental state as the key, the alpha level. Now, think of your brainwaves like the gears in a car, right? When we're wide awake, focused, maybe a little stressed, we're in beta, a really high gear. And when we're in a deep, deep sleep, that's delta. The alpha state is that sweet spot, that calm, creative gear right between being awake and falling asleep. It's the perfect state for influencing our subconscious mind. But here's the problem. Most of us just drift off to sleep the second we hit it. Silva's huge breakthrough was figuring out how to stay consciously awake at this powerful level. Okay, so to really understand how we can use this alpha level, we first need a simple little model of how our mind works. The Silva method has this great metaphor. It says to think of your mind as having two characters living inside. First, there's Wilfred. He's your logical, rational left brain, the part of you that was trained in school, that needs a reason for everything. And then you've got Willie, your creative, intuitive right brain. Willie sees the big picture, the forest, not just the trees. He runs on intuition. The argument is our entire education system is basically designed to train Wilfred, while Willie's incredible power is just left on the sidelines, largely untapped. And focusing so much on just one side of our mind can create these self-imposed limits. It's kind of like a powerful horse that won't pull away from a tiny post because, as a foal, it was trained not to. We do the same thing. We just stick to our learned limits, never even realizing that we're more than strong enough to break free. So what this really means is that if we want to break free from those limits, we have to get really, really conscious about what we're feeding our minds. The method calls the brain a biocomputer, and it runs on a really simple principle you might have heard of in computing, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. It's that simple. The quality of your thoughts, your feelings, your results, it's all directly linked to the quality of the data you're putting in, the words, the images, the beliefs you focus on all day long. Let's try a quick little experiment, just for a second. What picture pops into your head when I say the phrase, "Don't slam the door"? I bet you pictured a slamming door, didn't you? Of course you did. That's because our mind, especially that creative Willie, thinks in pictures. It immediately processes the action, slam the door, and it basically ignores the word don't. This is a perfect example of why it's so critical to frame our goals in positive terms, focusing on what we do want, not what we don't.
And get this isn't just some mental trick. It has a real physical effect on you. There's a simple muscle testing experiment talked about in the book. You have someone test your arm strength. Then you say a negative word out loud, like can't, and your physical strength just plummets. It measurably decreases. But then you switch to a positive word like can, and bam, your strength comes right back. Our words are literally programming that directly impacts our physical reality. So, how do we actually do this? How do we consciously get into this powerful alpha state to start programming our minds for success? Let's get into the practical application.
See, the whole goal is to kind of sneak past our skeptical gatekeeper, Wilfred, and talk directly to our creative powerhouse, Willie. This is why just repeating affirmations when you're wide awake and in that analytical beta state, well, it often doesn't work. Your inner critic just shoots it down. But doing it in the alpha state, that's like planting a seed in the most fertile soil you can imagine. It gets past the critic and can have a massive effect. So here's the basic technique, and it's surprisingly simple. You sit down, get comfy, close your eyes, and then you turn them just slightly upward, about 20 degrees. That little trick helps your brain produce alpha waves. Then you just count down slowly from 100 to 1 to deepen the relaxation. Once you're at that perfect level, you visualize success, you really feel it, and then you plant a positive suggestion before counting back up from 1 to 5 to come back to full alertness.
Okay, but the big question is always, does this stuff actually work? Let's take a look at some real-world results from people who put these exact techniques into practice. Let's talk about this one insurance salesman. After a great first year, he just hit a total wall. He made only $5,300 for an entire year. He was desperate. So he went to a Silva seminar. And even though it wasn't a sales course at all, he figured, what have I got to lose? And decided to give it a shot.
And the results were just insane. Within 90 days of using these techniques, his sales exploded. They shot up by 200%. And he said selling just became easy and fun again.
And it wasn't just individuals either. There was this couple, John and Rita Donahue. They applied the Silva Method to their small wind chime business, which was called Magic Wind. They later credited these techniques as a priceless asset for their incredible growth.
You can see the tangible impact just by looking at the numbers. In 1976, they were grossing about $26,000. Just 5 years later, they were at over $300,000, and they were on their way to $1 million a year. That really shows you the power of programming your mind for success.
So, this all leads us to one final, really powerful question. The Silva Method suggests that your mind is, without a doubt, the most incredible tool you will ever own. So the only question that's left is, what are you programming it to achieve?